May 23rd, 1885. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in the drawing room on the ground floor of Ram's house. He was surrounded by devotees and was conversing with them. Mahima sat in front of him, M to his left, Paul too, Bhavanath, Nitya Gopal, Haramohan, and a few others sat around him. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The master inquired after several devotees. Master to M. Hasn't the younger Narayan arrived yet? Presently the younger Narayan entered the room. Master, what about him? M. Who, sir? Master, Kishori. Isn't Girish Ghosh coming? What about Narendra? A few minutes later, Narendra arrived and saluted the master. Master to the devotees. It would be fine if Kedar were here. He agrees with Girish. To Mahima smiling, he says the same thing. And the footnote on that is Kedar spoke of Sri Ramakrishna as an incarnation of God. Ram had arranged the kirtan. With folded hands, the musician said to Sri Ramakrishna, Sir, I can begin if you give the order. The master drank some water and chewed a few spices from a small bag. He asked him to close the bag. The musician started the kirtan. As Sri Ramakrishna heard the sound of the drum, he went into an ecstatic mood. While listening to the prelude of the kirtan, he plunged into deep samadhi. He placed his legs on the lap of Nitya Gopal, who was sitting near him. The devotee, too, was in an ecstatic mood. He was weeping. The other devotees looked on intently. Regaining partial consciousness, Sri Ramakrishna said, from the Nitya to the Leela, and from the Leela to the Nitya. To Nitya Gopal, what is your ideal? Nitya Gopal, both are good. Sri Ramakrishna closed his eyes and said, is it only this? Does God exist only when the eyes are closed and cease to exist when the eyes are opened? The Leela belongs to him to whom the Nitya belongs, and the Nitya belongs to him to whom the Leela belongs. To Mahima, my dear sir, let me tell you. Mahima, revered sir, both are according to the will of God. Master, some people climb the 7 floors of a building and cannot get down, but some climb up and then, at will, visit the lower floors. Uddhava said to the gopis, he whom you address as your Krishna dwells in all beings. It is he alone who has become the universe and its living beings. Therefore I say, does a man meditate on God only when his eyes are closed? Doesn't he see anything of God when his eyes are open? Mahima, I have a question to ask, sir. A lover of God needs nirvana, sometime or other, doesn't he? In this case, nirvana means a total annihilation of the ego, is the ideal of the jnanis, the non-dualists. Master, it can't be said that bhaktas need nirvana. According to some schools, there is an eternal Krishna, and there are also his eternal devotees. Krishna is spirit embodied, and his abode also is spirit embodied. Krishna is eternal, and the devotees also are eternal. Krishna and the devotees are like the moon and the stars, always near each other. You yourself repeat, what need is there of penance if God is seen within and without? Further, I have told you that the devotee who is born with an element of Vishnu cannot altogether get rid of his bhakti. Once I fell into the clutches of a jnani, and here the master was speaking of Todapuri, whom he always referred to as Nangta, the naked one. who made me listen to Vedanta for 11 months, but he couldn't altogether destroy the seed of bhakti in me. No matter where my mind wandered, it would come back to the Divine Mother. Whenever I sang of her, Nangta would weep and say, what is this? You see, he was such a great jnani, and still he wept. To the younger Nari and the others, remember the popular saying that if a man drinks the juice of the alak creeper, a plant grows inside his stomach? Once the seed of bhakti is sown, the effect is inevitable. It will gradually grow into a tree with flowers and fruit. You may reason and argue 1,000 times, but if you have the seed of bhakti within you, you will surely come back to Hari, another name for Krishna. The devotees listened silently to the master. Sri Ramakrishna asked Mahima, laughing, "What is the thing you enjoy most?" Mahima, smiling, "Nothing, sir. I like mangoes." Master, smiling, "All by yourself? Or do you want to share them with others?" Mahima, smiling, "I'm not so anxious to give others a share. I may as well eat them all myself." Master, "But do you know my attitude? I accept both, the Nitya and the Leela. Doesn't God exist if one looks around with eyes wide open? After realizing him, one knows that he is both the absolute and the universe. It is he who is the indivisible Satchidananda. Again, it is he who has become the universe and its living beings. One needs sadhana. Mere study of the scriptures will not do. I noticed that though Vidyasagar had no doubt read a great deal, he had not realized what was inside him. He was satisfied with helping boys get their education, but had not tasted the bliss of God. What will mere study accomplish? How little one assimilates. The almanac may foresee 20 measures of rain, but you don't get a drop by squeezing its pages. Mahima, we have so many duties in the world. Where is the time for sadhana? Master, why should you say such a thing? It is you who describes the world as illusory, like a dream. Rama and Lakshmana wanted to go to Ceylon, but the ocean was before them. Lakshmana was angry. Taking his bow and arrow, he said, "I shall kill Varuna. This ocean prevents our going to Ceylon." Rama explained the matter to him, saying, "Lakshmana, all that you are seeing is unreal like a dream. The ocean is unreal, your anger is also unreal. It is equally unreal to think of destroying one unreal thing by means of another unreal thing." Mahimacharan kept quiet. He had many duties in the world. He had lately started a school to help others. Master to Mahima, Shambhu once said to me, "I have some money. It is my desire to spend it for good works for schools and dispensaries, roads and so forth." I said to him, "It will be good if you can do these works in a selfless spirit, but it is extremely difficult to perform unselfish action. Desire for fruit comes from nobody knows where. Let me ask you something. Suppose God appears before you. Will you pray to him then for such things as schools and dispensaries and hospitals?" A devotee, "Sir, what is the way for worldly people?" Master, the company of holy men. Worldly people should listen to spiritual talk. They are in a state of madness, intoxicated with woman and gold. A drunkard should be given rice water as an antidote. Drinking it slowly, he gradually recovers his normal consciousness. A worldly person should also receive instructions from a Sadguru, a real teacher. Such a teacher has certain signs. You should hear about Benares only from a person who has been to Benares and seen it. Mere book learning will not do. One should not receive instruction from a pundit who has not realized the world to be unreal. Only if a pundit has discrimination and renunciation is he entitled to instruct. Samadhyarya remarked that God was dry. Think of his speaking like that, of him who is the embodiment of sweetness. It sounds like the remark, "My uncle's cowshed is full of horses." Everyone laughed. I think that I wasn't too familiar with this cowshed is full of horses, but when we were in India, I looked at the cowsheds, and they're very low-ceilinged. A horse couldn't go in with its head high up, so it's an impossibility. Yes, a worldly person is in a state of intoxication. He always says to himself, "It is I who am doing everything. All these, the house and family, are mine." Baring his teeth, he says, "What will happen to my wife and children without me? How will they get along? Who will look after my wife and children?" Rakal said one day, "What will happen to my wife?" Haramohan, did Rakal say that? Master, what else could he do? He who has knowledge has ignorance also. Rakal became Swami Brahmananda, and he did have a wife for a short time in his youth. How amazing! Lakshmana said to Rama, even a sage like Vashishta is stricken with grief because of the death of his sons. Brother, replied Rama, he who has knowledge has ignorance also. Therefore, go beyond both knowledge and ignorance. Suppose a thorn has pierced a man's foot. He picks up another thorn to pull out the first one. After extracting the first thorn with the help of the second, he throws both away. One should use the thorn of knowledge to pull out the thorn of ignorance. Then one throws them both, the thorns, knowledge and ignorance, and attains vijnana. What is vijnana? It is to know God distinctly by realizing his existence through an intuitive experience and to speak to him intimately. That is why Sri Krishna said to Arjuna, go beyond the three gunas. In order to attain vijnana, one has to accept the help of Vidyamaya. Vidyamaya includes discrimination. That is to say, God is real and the world illusory, and dispassion, and also chanting God's name and glories, meditation, the company of holy persons, prayer, and so forth. Vidyamaya may be likened to the last few steps before the roof. Next is the roof, the realization of God. Vidyamaya is the knowledge in Maya, knowledge of Maya. Worldly people are in a state of chronic intoxication, mad with lust and greed. They are insensible to spiritual ideas. That is why I love the youngsters not yet stained by lust and greed. They are good receptacles and may become useful in God's work. But for worldly people, you lose almost everything while trying to eliminate the worthless stuff in them. They are like bony fish, almost all bones and very little meat. Worldly people are like mangoes struck by hail. If you want to offer them to God, you have to purify them by sprinkling them with Ganga water. Even then, they are seldom used in the temple worship. If you are to use them at all, you have to apply Brahmagyana. That is to say, you have to persuade yourself that it is God alone who has become everything. A Theosophist gentleman arrived with Ashwini Kumar Dutta and the son of Bihari Baduri. The Mukherjee brothers entered the room and saluted Sri Ramakrishna. Arrangements were being made for devotional music in the courtyard. At the first beat of the drum, the master left the room and went there. The devotees followed him. Bhavanath introduced Ashwini to the master. The master introduced him to M. Ashwini and M were talking together when Narendra arrived. Sri Ramakrishna said to Ashwini, "This is Narendra." And that's the end of that day. Any questions or comments about what we've read so far? Okay. Saturday, June 13th, 1885. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Sri Ramakrishna was resting in his room after the midday meal. A pundit was sitting on a mat on the floor. Near the north door of the room stood a Brahmin woman who had recently lost her only daughter and was stricken with grief. Kishori too was in the room. M arrived and saluted the master. He was accompanied by Dwija and a few other devotees. Sri Ramakrishna had not been well, was not well. He had been suffering from an inflamed throat. These were the hot days of summer. M was not keeping well either, and of late he had not been able to visit Sri Ramakrishna frequently. Master to M, "How are you? It is nice to see you. The bell fruit you sent me was very good." M, "I'm slightly better now, sir." Master, "It is very hot. Take a little ice now and then. I have been feeling the heat very much myself, so I ate a great deal of ice cream. That is why I have this sore throat. The saliva smells very bad." Now, this was late 1885. This is the beginning of the throat cancer of which the master died. "I have said to the Divine Mother, 'Mother, make me well. I shall not eat ice cream anymore.' Next, I said to her that I wouldn't eat ice either. Since I've given my word to the Mother, I shall certainly not eat these things, but sometimes I become forgetful. Once I said that I wouldn't eat fish on Sundays, but one Sunday I forgot and ate fish. But I cannot consciously go back on my word. The other day, I asked a devotee to bring my watering jug to the pine grove. As he had to go elsewhere, another man brought the jug, but I couldn't use the water. I was helpless. I waited there until the first man brought water for me. When I renounced everything with an offering of flowers at the lotus feet of the Mother, I said, 'Here, Mother, take thy holiness, take thy unholiness. Here, Mother, take thy dharma, take the adharma. Here, Mother, take thy sin, take thy virtue. Here, Mother, take thy good, take thy evil, and give me pure bhakti.' But I could not say, 'Here, Mother, take thy truth, take thy falsehood.'" A devotee had brought some ice. Again and again the master said to M, "Shall I eat it?" M said humbly, "Please don't eat it without consulting the Mother." Sri Ramakrishna could not take the ice. Master, "It is the bhakta and not the jnani who discriminates between holiness and unholiness. Vijay's mother-in-law said to me, 'How little I have achieved of my spiritual ideal. I cannot take food from everybody.' I said to her, 'Is eating everybody's food a sign of jnana? A dog eats anything and everything. Does that make it a jnani?" To him, "Why do I eat a variety of dishes? In order not to become monotonous. Otherwise, I should have to renounce the devotees." I said to Keshav, "If I instruct you from a still higher standpoint, then you won't be able to preserve your organization. In the state of jnana, Organizations and things like that become unreal, like a dream. One day, I gave up fish. At first I suffered from it. Afterwards, it didn't bother me much. If someone burns up a bird's nest, the bird flies about. It takes shelter in the sky. If a man truly realizes that the body and the world are unreal, then his soul attains samadhi. Formerly, I had this state of mind of a jnani. I couldn't enjoy the company of men. I would hear that a jnani or a bhakti lived at a certain place. Then a few days later, I would learn that he was dead. Everything seemed to me impermanent, so I couldn't enjoy people's company. Later, the mother brought my mind down to a lower plane. She so changed my mind that I could enjoy love of God and his devotees. Excuse me. Next, the Master began to talk about divine incarnation. Master to M. Do you know why God incarnates himself as a man? It is because through a human body, one can hear his words. He sports through it. He tastes divine bliss through a human body. But through his other devotees, God manifests only a small part of himself. A devotee is like something you get a little juice from after much sucking, like a flower you get a drop of honey from after much sucking. To M, do you understand? M, yes, sir, very well. Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to Dvija, who was about 16 years old. His father had married a second time. Dvija often accompanied M to Dakshineshwar, and Sri Ramakrishna was fond of him. The boy said that his father opposed his coming to Dakshineshwar. Master, and your brothers too? Do they speak slightingly of me? Dvija did not answer. M to the Master. Those who speak slightingly of you will be cured of it after getting a few more blows from the world. Master, referring to Dvija's brothers. They live with their stepmother, so they are getting blows. All were silent for a moment. Master to M. Introduce Dvija to Purna sometime. M. Yes, I shall. To Dvija. Go to Panihati. Master, I am asking everyone to send people to Panihati. Won't you go? Sri Ramakrishna intended to visit the religious festival at Panihati, so he was asking the devotees to go too. Yes, sir, I want to go. Master, well, we shall engage a big boat. Then it won't toss about. Will Girish Ghosh be there? Sri Ramakrishna looked steadily at Dvija. Master, well, there are so many youngsters in the city. Why does this boy come here? To M. Tell me what you think. Certainly he has inherited some good tendencies from his previous birth. M. Undoubtedly, sir. Master, there is such a thing as inborn tendencies. When a man has performed many good actions in his previous births, in the final birth he becomes guileless. In the final birth, he acts somewhat like a madcap. To tell you the truth, everything happens by God's will. When he says yea, everything comes to pass. And when he says nay, everything comes to a standstill. Why is it that one man should not bless another? Because nothing can happen by man's will. Things come to pass or disappear by God's will. The other day I went to Captain's house. I saw some young boys going along the road. They belonged to a different class. I saw one of them, about 19 or 20 years old, with his hair parted on the side. He was whistling as he walked. I saw some immersed in the thickest Thomas. They play the flute and are proud of it. to Dvija, why should a man of knowledge be afraid of criticism? He understands, his understanding is as immovable as the anvil in a blacksmith's shop. Blows from the hammer fall continually on the anvil, but cannot affect it in the least. I saw X's father going along the street. He's a very artless man, Master, but he has red eyes. I think we'll stop there. Ramakrishna is going to tell the devotees about his visit to Captain's house, and it goes on for quite a long time. Are there any questions or discussion about anything that we've read? Okay. It's good to see all of you that are on Zoom. Good to see you here in the auditorium, too. And if there's no questions, then we'll end with a chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat, Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.